forth a little bit. Well, we don't want to stay in New Testament because it'll take a millennia to do that. So we're going to go back and forth through these as we guide through the stories in the New and Old Testament. So for tonight, we're going to be looking at something that's a family affair, okay? Now, this is an interesting topic because we're going to look at three different people's lives, all right? We're going to look at a priest named Zachariah and his family, which his wife's name was Elizabeth, which I named my daughter after, if anybody cares, all right? Then we're going to look at a really young lady named Mary and a feller named Joseph. And all three of these work together to form a family affair, okay? And stay with me as we go through this. And we're going to be in two books tonight. We're going to be looking at the book of Matthew chapter 1 and Luke chapter 1, okay? So we're going to be in those. We're going to get these three people's stories, all right? Now, I want to start off on getting our brain juices flowing, getting that skull working, right? That brain matter moving around, and ask a question. Have any of you ever had something happen to you in your life that changed you for the better? Now, I know Jesus is the number one answer, okay? But hold off on Jesus for a second. Okay, we know that. I'm talking about something else in your life that completely changed you to be a better person. Military. Anybody else have anything? A son? Had a son and married her. Anybody else have anything? You young folks? What? Friends. Good friends that changed the way you are, right? Mine was being married. Okay, just so you know, now this is hard to believe. This is because I'm a good feller, okay? And this is extremely hard for some of y'all to believe. I know why y'all laughing. This is everybody's chuckling and hurt my feelings and all kinds of stuff. Listen, I got married. Now, believe it or not, when I was in the military, I wasn't a very good person. Okay, I liked to drink and fight. Then I met my wife. Okay, who somehow, and this has to be a God thing, kept me from fighting and drinking heavily like I was. I actually got in a fight with a guy, and I was going to pulverize him, and she tried to stop me. And in the process, I almost knocked her out. And then that's when it dawned on me, I really like this gal. I see a little bit of a future. She wasn't going to see a future if I elbowed her hard enough, right? So I decided, maybe to pursue a relationship with her, I probably should not beat people up anymore, all right? And so I gave that kind of lifestyle up. That's neither here nor there. But thank you. That's an amazing woman. That's an amazing woman right there, all right? But this is something. So we got married. We became, as God says, one flesh, right? We became a family. We have 4 beautiful kids. We've been part of multiple churches and learned to be friends with new people and all kinds of, we've had peaks and troughs together. We have done all kinds of crazy things together. So marrying my wife, Amber, right, is what changed my life. I mean, we've gone through cancer together. She's a cancer survivor, right? That's tough. But we got to do this as a family. Well, I was trying to think of how to explain this. And for some reason, because part of our union was part of God's story. You guys ever understand it? Everybody in here, believe it or not, even sinners are all part of God's story. They all serve a purpose in the story of God. Now, what's interesting is we're all subparts. There's a main story. Okay? So I got to think, how do I explain this? And you know what popped in my head? Charter boats. I know this is crazy. Okay? I don't know. Sometimes it just hits me. A charter boat. What is unique about a charter boat? Well, first off, there's 2 parts to a charter. Well, three parts. You have a captain, a boat, and you have people, right? Now, what does a charter do? They go fishing. They go look at whales. They go dive with sharks, right? They do all these cool things. Right here, you see a picture of a charter boat. There's a guy in the wheelhouse driving this boat, and there's a bunch of people fishing off the back. Now, let's break it down like this. Who do you think would be the captain of the charter boat? God. Right? What is the charter boat? His story. And what is this story doing? Listen, a good charter boat captain knows all the sweet spots, knows all the honey holes. They're going to take you where the best whales are. They're going to take you where the most dangerous sharks are if you want to dive with them. They're going to take you to that fishing spot. You can get halibut as big as like this. They're going to take you to those places because they know where they're at. See, God has a honey hole. And what he is he's a boat captain who drives his boat to a certain spot. We're all fishing off the back. It's a main story, but we all get to be part of it and help fish. Do you understand where I'm getting at with this? Because it's a family affair. So, we're going to talk about our first gentleman tonight. Now, this is a guy named Zechariah. He was a priest. All right? And for sake of time, I'm not going to dig super deep in their lives. We're just going to go through this real quick, and we're going to pull it all together at the end. But it says, in the time of Herod, king of Judah, there was a priest named Zechariah who belonged to the priestly division of Abijah. His wife Elizabeth, who was also a descendant of Aaron, so they're both Levites. Both of them were righteous in the sight of God, observing all the Lord's commands and decrees blamelessly. But they were childless because Elizabeth was not able to conceive, and they both were very old. So let's look at the backstory of these two folks. All right? They love God. They're righteous folks. They're both old, and they never had kids. All right? Still love God, even though they didn't get what they wanted in life. Because back then, for her, that was a sign. Like, you were a sinner. You can't have kids. But they led blameless lives, right? God still loved them. Once, when Zechariah's division was on duty and he was serving as a priest before God, he was chosen by Lot. Now, what's happening here is someone gets to go into the back part of the temple and burn incense before God. This was an act that didn't happen to most. This was a really cool thing that you maybe got to do once in your life. And what they do is they would do it by lot. So what they would do is, and the best way to explain is, you guys ever have somebody hold straws and everybody picks one straw and whoever got the short straw had to do the dirty work kind of thing? This is kind of what's happening here. But he drew the short straw. In this particular case, it wasn't dirty work. You were excited to go back there and do this. This was important. This was an important thing for a Levite priest to do, right? You're going into God's house, you get to go back and burn incense. According to the custom of the priesthood, to go into the temple of the Lord and burn incense. And when the time for the burning incense came, all assembled worshipers were praying outside. So they're all out there praying. He's walking in with his incense. He's getting ready to do something that he'll never probably ever do again. This is special to him. Then an angel of the Lord popped up out of nowhere, appeared to him, standing at the right side of the altar. When Zechariah saw him, he was startled and gripped with fear. Where'd you come from? It's only supposed to be one dude in here. Right? But the angel said, man, don't be afraid, Zechariah. Don't be afraid. Your prayer has been heard. Now let's go back a couple of verses. What prayer did he have? He didn't have no kids. The angel saying, listen, God's listened to you. Now, it's been a long, long time, right? They're old. God, don't worry about it. God's boat was going a certain direction for a certain time. He knew how long it took to get to that honey hole. They didn't, but he did. You understand? It's God's story. Don't be afraid, Zechariah. Your prayer has been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you are to call him John. He will be a joy and delight to you, and many will rejoice because of his birth. For he will be great in the sight of the Lord. He is never to take wine or fermented drink, and he will be filled with the Holy Spirit before he's even born. Sir, not only is God going to give you a child, he's going to give you one that's super special. Talk about an answered prayer. We're going to see how special he is. He will bring back many of the people of Israel to the Lord, their God, and he will go on before the Lord in the spirit and power of Elijah to turn the hearts of parents to their children and the disobedient to wisdom of the righteous, to make ready a people prepared for the Lord. This guy is literally going to pave the way for someone. Zechariah, you and Elizabeth are going to have a kid, and this dude is going to prepare the way for God. It's interesting. Well, let's see what happens. Zechariah asked the angel, how can I be sure of this? I am an old man and my wife as well along in years. What? Now, here's what I find fascinating. This guy was a Levite priest. He never read the Torah. He never heard what happened to Abraham. Was Abraham old when he had a kid? Was Abraham's wife barren? Interesting. Right? Look, what's this? He goes, so the angel said to him, I am Gabriel. I stand in the presence of God. Sir, I walk and talk to God, and I have sent to speak to you, to tell you the good news. And now you'll be silent and not able to speak until the day this happens, because you did not believe my words, which come true at their appointed time. You doubted, sir. Now, I want to point this out real quick. He doubted, sure, right? Did it stop God using him in the story? No. The angel could have easily said, you know what? You can't speak anymore? We'll find somebody else. What's that say? God's going to use you even when you doubt, because he knows you're going to doubt from time to time. We all doubt things, right? Believe it or not, I hate to say it, but it's part of a Christian's life, is doubt. It happens a lot. But God doesn't mean God hates you or he's tossed you to the curb. It just means he's still going to use you. He's going to bring you back around. And finish the story of Zechariah, and you'll see that. Because he comes to finally go, man, I believe. And he gets his speech back. So Zechariah, he doubts, right? But he's having a son who is preparing the way. He's just another dude on the boat fishing with his wife as a family who are going to have a child who's going to prepare a way for the boat captain. You understand? So let's go to our next character. In the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, so she's been pregnant 6 months. Zechariah, his wife's 6 months pregnant. God sent the angel Gabriel to Nazareth, a town in Galilee, to a virgin pledged to be married to a man named Joseph, a descendant of David. Okay? The virgin's name was Mary. The angel went to her and said, greetings, you who are highly favored. The Lord is with you. Can you imagine getting a greeting like that? Yo, Will, you're highly favored. Say what now? Nah. Highly favored. What's her response? Mary is greatly troubled at these words and wonder what kind of greeting this might be. I'm highly favored? You know what this shows a sign of? Humility.